and from one region to the other, you rounded off with ethnic sentiments.
Yeah.
And here we have the House of Reps member, should I say, bringing those ethnic sentiments to the fore with regards to the unrest in the eastern region of Nigeria and the security situation, the prolonged security situation, and the, what's the word now, the occupation by the Nigerian military in some places. And he said, for peace to last, for us to go back being the peaceful East that we were, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should use his good office as the President of the Federation to intervene and effect the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is held behind bars. Now, this is regardless of several court decisions in his favor that have instructed his release. Most recently, I think on the 15th of December, the Supreme Court sat and said, we're going to start investigations afresh. We're going to look at this matter afresh. Remand him. So, where then do we go from here? Because, one more time, there are questions about the Nigerian Constitution. One more time, it appears that it's about favors. One more time, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is required to intervene.
Well, the truth is, there can never be peace without justice.
Right.
It's important to have that at the back of our mind. And unfortunately, Nigeria is a very, very unjust country, and based on its structure. But I agree with him. I think it's important that a political solution is found to a political problem, because whichever way you want to look at it, the issue of IPOB, the issue of Nnamdi Kanu being incarcerated is a political problem. It's a problem that stems from the perceived injustice that the Igbos, that the Southeast have as regards Nigeria. And it's an injustice that not just the Igbos, a whole lot of other ethnic nationalities have about Nigeria. So whether or not he's released, which might help quell the uprising there and help bring about peace, there are injustices in also other parts of the country that we, in time, come up. But it's important. We must look for a way to actually sit down and discuss amongst ourselves and see how we can better relate with each other. We must not be keen on applying brute force to every disagreement, of every political questions that we arise, because people need to be to guarantee or need that assurance that their interest is protected within a multicultural and heterogeneous Nigerian nation state. You do not keep people in a situation where they feel subjugated, where they feel politically repressed, and you do not expect them to speak up. People are always going to speak up. It's human nature. People will not tolerate what the perceived injustice that is done to them. So I believe it's a good step if the president can, whatever within his powers, to see how we can have a political solution to the Nnamdi Kanu political problem.
But what about the security challenge that the IPOB has posed? Well, so because whether you like it or not, they have been proscribed. And we have a certain Mr. Simon Ekpa who is giving directives, and stringent directives that oftentimes has led to violence. People's rights are being violated, people's businesses are being destroyed, people are being physically harmed. And we also have the matter of the ESN as well, who are carrying out rather violent activities in the eastern part of Nigeria. Putting that in perspective, politics aside, would you say that Nnamdi Kanu should be released at all costs? Would you still posit that Nnamdi Kanu should be granted freedom? I don't want to use the word amnesty, because in that report, the rep member says those who are carrying out these agitations should be granted amnesty.
Yeah.
Why? Because they are already proscribed as terrorists, isn't it? So, on this premise, based on this, you believe that regardless of whatever the court finds against Nnamdi Kanu now, he should still be released on political grounds?
Well, I think there's a court judgment that has overturned the proscription of the IPOB as a terrorist group. And I think it's important for us to be able to differentiate. Now, there are people who believe in the ideology of the IPOB, who are members of the IPOB, who are not murderers, who are not killers, who have not engaged in a lot of the brutalities that others who are also affiliated with the IPOB have engaged in. I think it's important for us to differentiate that there are violent parts of this movement and there are non-violent parts of this movement. We can differentiate it, we can separate it. And the people who are found wanting for having engaged in this brutality, they can be brought to book. But we do not because, okay, we want to use an opportunity to just paint all these people and just find a way to just suppress them, then just blame everybody for the actions of his election. You mentioned Simon Ekpa. He's somebody that has been very, his rhetoric has been inciting. He has urged his followers, people to kill and disrupt and all that. These are people that I expected that prior to now that the Nigerian government should have liaised with the Finnish government to have them extradited back to Nigeria to face trial for their crimes. These are people that should be, but funny enough, I don't know why they are left outside to continue to incite the public. It's almost like whether the government likes what is going on. I do not understand that. But like I said, there can be a political solution to what is happening. In the Niger Delta, between the years of 2000 and 2007, we saw the violence that erupted when because we felt injustices were being done to us, our resources were being exploited, and we had nothing in return. And so many people died. Thousands of persons died around the Niger Delta. And at the end of the day, some of the people who participated in these activities were granted amnesty. Today, they have stipends. The government is trying to reintegrate them into society, to give them skills and all that. I'm not saying that the same processes can be used for these people. I'm just saying that, okay, there's a precedent. We can as well delineate and differentiate and say, okay, these people are different from these people. Let's take action towards this other side and let's see how we can integrate this other side. There's always a political solution. We have to actually sit down and have that conversation. It's important.
We have to actually sit down and have that conversation. Now, if you look at the history of Nigeria with regards to these violent agitations, you've made reference to the River State situation between 2000 and 2007, where we were being stopped at every checkpoint. You raise up your hand, you get out of the car, being physically harassed by men of the Nigerian army and the other security agencies who were out there on the road trying to keep the peace. Now we look at what's happened in the East as well. Then sometime back, you also want to look at what happened with the OPC in the West. Well, in the North, it's a Boko Haram insurgency, so it doesn't exactly appear to be a struggle for emancipation, as it were. But when you look at the situation with the OPC, you look at the Niger Delta struggle, you look at the IPOB and their operations in the eastern part of Nigeria. Is it not obvious that violent struggle has not yielded the desired result, or has it yielded the desired result? Maybe I should just leave it to you to let us know your opinion, what you think.
Well, the truth is, as much I'm not someone who encourages violence, it would be wrong to say that violent struggles have not brought about progress. Maybe within the Nigerian context, you can say that. Well, if you look at generally at the world in the context,
well, we're talking about Nigeria right now.
Okay. Well,
we have looked at Western Nigeria, Southern Nigeria, and we're looking at Eastern Nigeria right now with the IPOB.
There are people who, in the Niger Delta, we tell you that violence has brought a certain benefit. Today, you have the Niger Delta Ministry. It wasn't in existence prior to 2007. Today, you have what is called amnesty. It wasn't there prior to in 2007. They have people who are beneficiaries, who have skills, who have been trained. Why? Simply because a group of persons got fed up with having to speak with nobody listening to them and decided to take up arms against the government. Again, I'm not encouraging violence as a means of advancing whatever agitations. But what we must understand is that an oppressed people do not first of all decide to pick up arms. They first of all try to engage, try to dialogue, and picking up arms is usually the last part. Let's take, for example, the Middle Belt people who recently they've been, you have what we call ethnic cleansing and land grabbing that have been going on in the Middle Belt. They have been killed, they have been massacred, they have been chased out of their land. It's been going on for over a decade. Now, we have not seen any middle belt group come out and say, okay, we are going to engage in violence. We have been seeing them complaining, calling on the government to take action. If now, let's just say by next month, you hear of one middle belt armed group that has come out and they are now armed and they are now going after these people and taking violent actions against these people, it's natural for humans to, who are not from that part, to quickly interpret it and say, oh, violence is not the way, violence is not the way. But it's the last resort. If these things are nipped in the bud in time, if the agitations of people, if the feelings of people are actually taken into consideration and these things are addressed while they are still at that budding stage, a lot of these things we are not going to get there. So let's try to have the conversations. Let's try to nip these things in the bud before people get to that last resort of employing violence to advance their political and economic aims.